Hey everyone, this is Heidi from the blog Hands Occupied with another knitting video tutorial. In this video, I'm going to go over the most basic, easy beginner shawl construction technique that you can use to make shawls with any yarn and any needle. If you've never made a shawl before, your first attempt might seem a little bit intimidating, but they're actually really easy to make. Most shawls, when you start out, are a simple triangle, like the one I've got here on my needles so far, and all you've got to do is be careful about being consistent where you place your increases or decreases, depending on the construction of your shawl, and you'll have an easy, meditative knitting project on your hands in no time. So for this basic beginner shawl construction, what I've done to set this up is cast on 3 stitches, and then to place the markers in the first row, you're going to knit 1, place a stitch marker, knit 1, place a stitch marker, and knit 1. So after you've done that cast on and that setup row where you've placed your markers, you'll be repeating the same 2 rows for the rest of the shawl, and it's super duper easy. So what we are going to do, we're on an increase row. So this is a row where you're going to do yarn overs, and let me show you how to work it. So first, we start every row by knitting 1 stitch and slipping our stitch marker. I use contrasting yarn so you can easily see what I'm doing here. After you've slipped that stitch marker, you're going to do a yarn over increase. So that's just a yarn over like so. And then you're going to knit all the way across your row until the last stitch marker. And one thing you might be thinking is that I'm starting to run out of space on my needles here. What you'll want to do if you're going to knit a larger shawl is use circular knitting needles, and depending on how long you're going for in your finished project, that will determine the length of the cable that your circular knitting needles have. So we're just going to keep knitting until we get to that last stitch marker in our row, which is really relaxing. And since you only yarn over at the beginning and end of each row, these projects are pretty addicting. They're great to do while you're watching a movie or reading an audiobook. And shawl knitting, I personally find to be my favorite kind of knitting. All right, so we've knit 1, slipped a stitch marker, yarned over, and knit all the way across our row until the 2nd stitch marker. Now we're going to yarn over, slip the 2nd stitch marker, and knit that last stitch. And now the rest is easy. You'll turn your shawl to the other side, and without doing yarn overs, knit all the way across the row, slipping stitch markers as you come to them. Then when you switch back to the other side, you'll do what we just demonstrated, which is knit 1, slip your stitch marker, yarn over, knit to the last stitch marker, yarn over before it, slip the stitch marker, and knit 1. So you'll repeat those 2 rows until your shawl is as wide or long as you want it to be, bind off all stitches, and you've got yourself an easy beginner shawl. And that was how to work a very basic beginner shawl knitting construction. There's an infinite number of possibilities for how to make shawls with increases and decreases and asymmetrical and symmetrical shapes. And I would recommend looking around the internet and also around AllFreeKnitting.com for even more ideas for how to make shawls. If you have any questions for us, go ahead and leave a comment, and don't forget to tune back soon for more knitting tutorials.